that's coming in at the moment, it's the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer who's arrived in the city of Mumbai. He's in India. This is his first official visit to the country. Strengthening India-UK partnership. He's all set to hold a conversation with Prime Minister Narendra Modi also. It will be economy, security and cooperation. Those are the items on agenda. Those are the conversations that he will have while he's in India. UK Prime Minister will also be participating.
Starmer's India mission, trade deals and tough conversations. Before we dive into what's really happening in Mumbai right now, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you'll want to stay ahead of what British Connors has coming next. Right, let's get into it. 5,700 posters, banners, billboards, all plastered across Mumbai with Sir Keir Starmer's face beaming down at traffic-choked streets, greeting messages in multiple languages, a red carpet treatment ordered directly by Narendra Modi to the state government of Maharashtra. Make our British guests feel welcome, he said. And welcome they did. But here's a question nobody in Downing Street wants you asking too loudly. What exactly are we celebrating? And more importantly, what are we ignoring? Let's start with a headline that Number 10 desperately wants you to focus on. £4.8 billion annually to the British economy. 7,000 jobs created. 6 to 4 Indian companies committing £1.3 billion in investment. New flight routes connecting London and Manchester to Indian cities. Even a Bollywood studio promising 3 films on British soil. It's a trade bonanza, innit? The sort of announcement that makes Treasury officials weep with joy and backbenchers temporarily forget they're supposed to be plotting against leadership. Sir Keir strutting through Mumbai with 125 British trade delegates in tow, all there to exploit those freshly relaxed tariffs, forging new pathways, building bridges. Insert your preferred diplomatic euphemism here. And look, credit where it's due. Post-Brexit Britain needs these deals like a drowning man needs a life raft. The UK-India trade agreement signed in July is genuinely significant. India's economy is absolutely roaring. It's the world's most populous nation, and if we're being honest, we need them considerably more than they need us. So yes, Starmer deserves some recognition for getting this across the line. The optics are magnificent. The numbers look impressive on paper. Downing Street is positively giddy with the PR possibilities. But here's where things get decidedly less comfortable, and where the carefully choreographed photo opportunities start to look rather more awkward. Because while Starmer's been glad-handing business leaders and standing in front of those 5,000 posters, there are 2 rather enormous elephants in the room that has been spectacularly reluctant to address. And I mean spectacularly. The man who usually can't resist answering a question has suddenly discovered the art of strategic silence. First elephant, Vladimir Putin. India's relationship with Russia isn't just cordial, it's positively cozy. Modi and Putin, they are practically mates. And whilst Western nations, Britain very much included, have been desperately trying to tighten sanctions on Russia's shadow fleet, those dodgy ships Putin uses to illicitly flog oil and gas around the world despite international condemnation, India's been happily hoovering up Russian fossil fuels like there's no tomorrow. It's awkward, deeply awkward, because here's Sir Keir, champion of Ukraine, insisting Britain remains among Kiev's biggest supporters, while simultaneously cozying up to a leader who's keeping Putin's war machine financially viable. Now, journalists have tried, repeatedly. They've asked Starmer about Modi's relationship with Putin. They've pressed him on India's continued purchase of Russian energy. And what's the response? Declined to answer, moved swiftly along, suggested that Britain's relationship with India is stronger than ever, as if that somehow addresses a fundamental moral contradiction at play here. It's diplomatic tap dancing of the highest order, and frankly, it's rather insulting to anyone paying attention, because we all know what's happening. Trade trumps principle. Economic necessity overrides moral clarity. It's realpolitik in action. And whilst that might be how international relations actually work, let's not pretend it's anything other than what it is. And then there's a second elephant. Though calling Jagtar Singh Joel an elephant feels grotesque given the man's been arbitrarily detained for nearly 8 years. Let me paint you the picture. November 2017. Jagtar, a British Sikh from Dumbarton near Glasgow, 38 years old now, gets bundled into an unmarked car in India. Just weeks after his wedding there, arrested. His claim, torture. A UN panel recognizes imprisonment as arbitrary detention in 2022. Earlier this year, he was acquitted in a case accusing him of financially supporting a terror group. Acquitted, but is still in jail. Still facing federal charges. Still sitting in an Indian cell whilst his government, our government, insists it's raising his case at every level. Every level. What does that actually mean? His brother Gurpreet is asking the same question, and frankly, he deserves a better answer than the diplomatic equivalent of thoughts and prayers. Gurpreet's holding on to hope that decisive steps are being taken behind the scenes, but is also painfully aware that every previous government has failed his brother. So when Sir Kier insists he hasn't in the slightest forgotten Jagtar's case during this trade mission, forgive me for wondering whether that translates into anything more than a brief mention in a private conversation, easily brushed aside when the really important stuff, the trade figures, the investment commitments, the economic potential, takes center stage. Because here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody in Downing Street wants to acknowledge. This visit, these posters, this grand trade mission, it's all built on a foundation of carefully managed moral compromises. We need India's market. We need their investment. We need those 7,000 jobs and that 4.8 billion annually. And so we'll downplay the Russia question. We'll raise concerns about detained British citizens just enough to say we did, but not so forcefully that it jeopardizes a deal. We'll celebrate the modern India meeting modern Britain whilst conveniently ignoring the bits that don't fit the narrative. And perhaps that's just how diplomacy works. Perhaps I'm being naive to expect anything different. Perhaps in the real world of international trade negotiations, you hold your nose, shake hands with people whose policies you condemn in any other context, and secure the economic advantage because that's what national interest demands. But let's at least be honest about what we're doing. Let's not dress it up as some grand partnership of equals sharing democratic values when we're clearly willing to overlook quite significant departures from those values when there's money on the table. The senior UK official described this as a real signal of modern India meeting modern Britain, adding there's so much more potential. This is just beginning. And they're right. There's enormous potential. India's trajectory is remarkable. The opportunities for British businesses are genuinely substantial. But modern Britain also means something, doesn't it? Or at least it's supposed to. It means standing up for detained citizens. It means not turning a blind eye when a trading partner bankrolls a regime waging an illegal war. It means asking difficult questions even when the answers might complicate a lucrative deal. Sir Keir Starmer faces Narendra Modi today for face-to-face talks. Putin will likely be on the agenda, apparently. Jagtar Singh Johal's case will presumably be raised at some level or another. And then both leaders will smile for the cameras, announce how successful this mission has been, talk about the strength of UK-India relations, and move on. The posters will come down. The trade delegates will fly home. The 7,000 jobs will gradually materialize, we hope, and we'll all pretend that the moral compromises underpinning this entire arrangement are just the pragmatic cost of doing business in the 21st century. Maybe they are, but we should at least acknowledge the price we're paying. So there you have it. Trade deals, strategic silences, and uncomfortable questions that won't quite go away no matter how many billboards you put up. Stay with British Corners because, trust me, we're only just getting started unpacking the contradictions at the heart of British foreign policy. Subscribe, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and I'll see you in the next one.